Hello, welcome to the live session. You are watching me at Campus Party, the biggest event for innovation. Innovation plays a big role in this modern world. Every big country, cities, and towns are getting innovation. But there is one big problem. Our rural areas and villages are not getting any kind of innovation. So, my question is, how can we solve the problem? Well, I solved the problem in my village. Hi, my name is Fahad Bin Husne Ali. I live in a poor village in Bangladesh. Today, I will tell my story, how I built a network that changed my life and many others and bring innovation in our village. My story started back in 2017 when I was studying in a Polytechnic Institute in computer. One thing I figured out studying in that institute is they were teaching me all the old stuff from 1990s. And my family, my friends, my teachers and my entire ecosystem were pushing me to just get a certificate, then a job, and that's life. That's the definition of life pretty much everywhere, I guess. But I wanted to do something crazy. I wanted to do something as a free man. I wanted to do something for me and for the other people. So I get out of the college. That was the boldest and the best decision I have ever taken in my life. After getting out of the college, my first task was building a network or a platform, you may call it. Then I start finding friends and a network and so on. With due respect to my country people, many of their mindset doesn't go with me. So I start finding people somewhere outside my country, and I knew, I had a belief that there will be some people who understand my dream, who understand my ambition, who will understand me. So I start finding people outside my country, but there was one big problem. I didn't know any other language back then except my mother tongue, Bengali. It's a wonderful language, but unfortunately, people don't know in other countries. So I had to learn English. It was an amazing journey, but was not easy. There was no one I can learn from. I can learn. So I had to go internet and use the open source resources and learn English. Back then, I didn't have a computer. So I had to go to those cyber cafes, or you may call it computer cafes. And there's plenty of computers, and you can rent a computer for half an hour or an hour, and you can do whatever you want to do. So I had to go to those cafes and start learning English from online. So that's how I learned English. My English is not great, but I think you understand what I'm saying, right? Yeah. So after learning a little bit English, I start finding people or initiatives in social platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so on. Finally, I find a bunch of friends of mine who are my mentors right now. So I find them, they were working with an initiative called Permanent Future Lab. Permanent Future Lab is an initiative where they open up the location and people can go there and learn and share their knowledge and build something together. So they open up their location, and there's no such boundary such as money or age. So anybody can go and anybody can learn and build together. I like the idea because if I want to build a platform in my village and I charge money or any monetary platform if I want to build, it's not gonna work. It will be flop, I know, because most of my villagers are poor and they live under poverty line. So I had to start something like this. So Permanent Future Lab was an absolute win-and-win situation for me. So I joined and I started. We start making meetups and tech sharing, or you may call it festivals, something like that. But after some weeks, I understand we need a location to work on. I mean, we need location for meetups, for anything, any activity. So I go back to my friend Jurien de Vries, who is initiator of Permanent Future Lab from Netherlands, and I ask him, how can I solve the problem, because I don't have a location? How can I take the initiative a little further? And he told me, why don't you go to those commercial spaces or meeting spots and ask a favor? Maybe they can help you. When they shut down their locations, maybe you can use it. Just have a try. Okay, I go to all those commercial meeting spots and locations, and I ask those owners that, can I use your location for my good purpose, and then that would be awesome. None of them were angry with me because it didn't make any sense to them, and I understand, I respect their decision. So I go back to my friend Urian and asked, now how can I do so? He told me, why don't you go to government officials? Maybe they have locations in abundance. That's how I learned the new word abundance. So I go to government officials and I talked to many people. One big officer, who is probably the head of our sub-district, he stand up with me and he said, you have a good purpose, you have an ambition, and you're doing good. Why don't you use one of our school location space? Basically, it was a garbage room where all the school bad stuff are going. So I was still happy, and it was a big room, to be honest. And I was very happy. My friends, I already created a friends group to work with Permanent Future Lab, and they were happy too. So we go to that garage, and we create a cute little spot, and we start doing meetups. We are happy. We finally got something. Couple of weeks later, we figured out we cannot use this location whenever we want. I mean, that school has hundreds of rules to follow. I have to wait and I have to tell them before, and so on. Maybe you can guess. I understand it and I respect their rules. After all, it's this school. Then I go back to my network and I ask them, how can I solve the problem? I really need a location that is ours. It's just for some purpose. It's not. It should be independent. We can open it anytime we want, and so on. Then I meet a person from Netherlands, and who changed my life. And he is the CEO and founder of a co-working network called Systemit.com. Many of you maybe know about Systemit.com. So Mr. Ronald van den Haaf really stood up with me, and he said, he already saw my struggles that I'm doing for 2 years, and all my good efforts with a little helping hand. So he said, why don't you open up your own Systemit location in your village? And I didn't expect something like this from a person like him, and then I couldn't say thank you to him in that time. So thank you very much from this video, and I was so happy I cannot share my emotion. And I started the location, Systemit location in Bangladesh, and with a grand premiere, and my villagers were happy, and they joined our program. We had a big announcement that we're doing so. So I started something, and that was my story of building a network and end up having a location which is open source, where anybody can come and share the knowledge, and no boundary as money or age or caste, you might call it. I will talk about how can you do so, and the struggle I needed to build the network. But now let's talk about the problem we solve building the location. So the first problem was, in my village, no one, let's not say no one, but most of them were not aware of technology or the innovation. Many of my houses in my village doesn't have electricity, so it's possible that many people don't know about technology, right? So I understand. So we start making permanent future lab programs, and so we start telling them how internet or technology or innovation can change your life, can be useful in your life, and how innovation is taking over the world and making new ecosystem. They start getting it. If you tell them to join to the program without telling the benefit of coming the program, or telling the good side of being in this network, they're not gonna work. They're not gonna accept my invitation. I knew this. So I had to go to home and tell them about technology and so on. They understand. Then we start, obviously, permanent future lab programs in our systemic location. There was amazing journey, and people start coming and visiting, and but I wanted some curious mind, some enthusiastic mind that can come in my location, and they can feel this is my work. I want to take this initiative a little further. I want to be this with this initiative. Basically, I needed some volunteers who were absolutely excited. So what I did is, the next problem was, there were some people who were regular, maybe 3 or 4 people regular, but there were some random visitors. But I needed some guys who will be with me every time. So I start doing school campaigns. We call it systemic school camping, and we used to go to school, and I used to make presentation in every school, and showing them about technology and technology I have. Those technology they can also see and observe, and they can enjoy, and how students can change their life with technology, and how it is so beneficial if they start learning technology. Students get it because they learn from television, they learn from their textbook, thanks to our government to digitalize our education system. So they know some of the stuff I was talking about more than the villagers. So after having a lot of school camping, some people were willing to join our systemic location, and we have 26 volunteers right now whom I meet. All those I meet in systemic school campaign program. So that was a big success for us. The next problem we solve is, when I was doing all this for months, my mentor, as I told you, and the CEO of systemic.com, Mr. Ronald van den Hoff, told me, "You are doing good job. Why don't you start English classes so people can start building their networks? They can do things like you from their circle." I like the idea. I mean, it didn't come in my mind. So the little English I know, I start English language club, we call it, and we start making programs every Monday, and we teach English to any people who come. it's open source. Anybody can come any time. It's no timetable. If they come, I will just help them. So it's open for everyone. So English Language Club was one of the massive success for our systemic location. That's the first time I start getting some women visitors. In my country, you know, it's women doesn't go outside the house, or they're not allowed to socialize themselves, so on. So I start loving the initiative that my friend Ronald suggest me to start, because I start getting some women, and then they were so curious. I couldn't tell you how curious those girls are, and they are still learning English, and some of my friends can talk a little bit. They are not practicing that much, but they can talk, they understand. So that was a great success. The next thing was, again, my friend Ronald told me, now people understand what you are doing with tech. You are just sharing your knowledge, and they share their knowledge. How about working on basic computer classes? So I already had some of my friends who were working with us in system location. They're volunteers, and they know a little bit English computer. So we started making basic computer classes. Huge amount of people were interested, and is still interested, because it's open source for all, and they can come, and then they don't need to pay me anything, and so in return they will also share. That's a win-and-win situation for everybody, and from them some other people can learn. That was amazing. And in my location only 12 people can sit, so there's more than hundreds of people start visiting us in English Language Club. Basic computer classes, and we couldn't give them play a seat to seat, so we had to make several shifts, and some of my volunteers helped me, and my cousin helped me so much, and we are still doing it even in due to Corona times. With just 6 people are allowed to come in our location, and we're still doing the basic computer class. After doing this for a couple of months, I was thinking, how about making something even better? I started getting some friends from my country, and my network in my country was building, and I have some smart people who wants to share in my network too, and my initiatives were very popular, start getting popular in social medias. So I have some friends who work with robotics, I have some friends who work in online business, and I have some friends who work in different occupation or platforms. So I start inviting my friends in my village, so that they can share their knowledge to me and to my other systemate guys. So the first person I invited is one of my dearest friend who work with robotics, and I invited him, Shahid. Maybe you're watching. Thank you for coming, bro. So I invited him to teach some of the robotics kit to my systemic guys. So he came. There was huge amount of people came in to see the robotics things. The funny thing is, in my country, even me, to us, robotics means all the robots in movies that can walk, that can go. It's kind of Iron Man things. So my friend Shahid show small things with Arduino and so on, and my systemic guys and including me, were so excited to see how easy it is to work with robotics. And I was surprised that anybody can start working with robotics. So some of my systemate guys work with robotics right now with Arduino basic. My friend Shahid gifted a robotic kits that he has, and he just share in our location, and that was so sweet gesture from him. So some of my friends they download data from internet, and they solve a little small problems or basic projects, you may call it. So that was fun. Inviting tech friends were an amazing adventure. After a few days, the best week of my life arrived. My friend Yurian told me he's gonna visit my village and see my work. I was super excited, out of the world, because I have many friends, and I never meet any of them. And I intended to go to Netherlands twice, and my visa was rejected both of the time because I'm young and poor. So due to that problem, I couldn't really go there. So Urian would be the first person I'm gonna see from the network that changed my life, and I was really excited, and he's very close to me. So he came, and we already pre-planned a festival where Urian told me we're gonna make presentations, we're gonna show technology. He brought his VR glass, and I've never seen VR in my life, and so does my villagers. So Urian bring his tech and knowledge with him, and we create amazing festival. One idea Urian told me that let's make some food and let's share it, and invite your villagers and tell them to bring food, and we're gonna eat together. That will be a perfect example of sharing. I was confused, I've never done that, but I made a meeting with my systemic dudes and other villagers anyway, and I was shocked. They were so happy and glad to create a festival and bring food from their houses, and they understand the fact that that will be a great example of sharing, and we call the festival Sharing is Caring, and it came from Urian mind. And the day Urian arrived, and we had a good hug, and we go in our village. It's a long journey from the capital city, and finally the festival days arrive, and we had a lot of good conversation, presentation. People in my village don't know English. I had to translate on behalf of him, and we bring food and we eat together, and at the evening we had a dancing party, and we had picnic-like environment, and that was amazing. I wish we'll meet many times, anywhere in the globe, and more of my friends will start visiting me and will keep inspiring me. So one problem that shows up is when Jurgen go back to his home and Corona arrives, that we really have food crisis. We start facing food crisis like never before, and it's maybe everywhere. So I told my network, how can I solve the problem of food? We need food to live our life. So my friend Urian told me, why don't you do an open source farming? Maybe you have some land in abundance and use it with your friends and have the food together, and even pass your extra food to other people. I like the idea, so I started. I have some land in abundance, maybe somewhere 1,500 square feet. It's not a big land, but it was okay for farming. So I invited some of my systemic dudes and two of my cousin, and they said yes, why not? We're spending lazy times, let's do it. Then we did it, and we get spinach, we get vegetables, and that was amazing situation for us when our vegetables finally grows up and we eat them. We still eat them even today. I guess my mom cooked some of those vegetables and we delivered to those who work with us and pass it on to who really need those foods. So that was all about the problem we solved together, thanks to the way of thinking, thanks to the ecosystem, thanks to the social capital mindset. Let's talk about the problem we want to solve. The first problem is electricity. Maybe this is one of the biggest problem in most of the rural areas in our country, in our world. So we're talking about solving this electricity problem. We're talking with some commercial solar company, and I'm talking to my friends. Yurian is talking from his side. Maybe someday we can do something handmade, or at least we can do it together and bring electricity in abundance in our village, and that will be a perfect result for us. Many times that happened with me is sometimes when I'm giving a presentation and I connected with my viewers. I know they are very attentive, but in the middle of the presentation, many times happened with me, the electricity is gone and I have no idea when the electricity will come. So I know how frustrating is, and maybe you can also imagine. So that's one problem I want to solve. If anybody knows have any idea and knows how to solve this problem easily, just let me know. Write on the comment in Facebook or YouTube. This live is going on and I will reach you for sure. The second problem is housing. Maybe this is the problem everywhere. My friend Yurian and I'm researching on this 3D printing housing that could be as cheap as $1,000. Maybe someday we're gonna really work on this and we'll clear the housing problem, and that would be amazing. Another big problem is rats on farm. Rats used to eat most of the crops and rices in the field. I can make device that kill rats, but I really don't want to do this because that could be a threat in our biological ecosystem or environment. So if you have any idea how can we really get rid of this rat problem, you can let me know. So let's talk about how can anybody do the same. How can anybody build a network and change life and and help many others and bring innovation or technology. First of all, you have to find out right mindset. When I tell my friends, my bosom friends, to build network, what they do is they send friend requests or they talk with random people. That's not gonna work with you. Let me tell you this. You have to have people with same mindset. They understand you, they connect with your thought, and show them your ambition. Tell them that you have a good purpose. Tell them you have a good idea. Tell them you have the capability of changing. Trust me, you don't need amazing skills, to be honest. I didn't have great skills, but I was able to show my friends, my networks, that I can make change. And don't expect any opportunity in beginning. For me, I started getting opportunities after 2 years. I didn't stop working. I know I love the process. Pick up something that you love. You have to love something to stick on with it. So I knew I love this, and I know the process. Instead of loving the result, I love the process. And tell your network that you are going to be consistent on this initiative or on your goal. Then your network will help you. Okay, that was all from my side. Time is limited, and I wish I could talk a little more with all of you. Hope to see you someday in somewhere in any other program and somewhere in the globe. And I wish all of you a healthy life. God bless you and stay blessed. Signing off, it's me, Fahad.